Everyone is chasing happiness, but most people are looking for it in the wrong place. Happiness isn't something you find overnight, and it's not something that comes from external success, money, or approval. It's something you build through your mindset, your habits, and the way you see your life. Many people believe they'll be happy when they achieve something, when they get the job, the money, the relationship. But that kind of happiness is temporary. Real happiness is internal, stable, and independent of constant change. And if you want to truly understand what happiness means and how to build it in your life, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Let's begin. Chapter 1: Stop chasing, start appreciating. Most people live in a constant state of chasing. They believe happiness is waiting somewhere in the future, after the next achievement, the next purchase, or the next big change in their life. It could be more money, a better lifestyle, recognition, or even a different version of themselves. There's always something ahead that feels like the missing piece. This creates the illusion that happiness is just one step away, always within reach but never fully experienced. But the reality is, this cycle never truly ends. As soon as you achieve one goal, your mind quickly shifts to the next. What once felt important becomes normal, and what once made you excited becomes expected. This is how people end up in a loop where they are always moving forward. Always chasing more, but rarely feeling satisfied for long. The problem isn't that they aren't achieving, it's that they're not allowing themselves to feel fulfilled by what they already have. The issue isn't ambition. Wanting to grow, improve, and succeed is natural and important. The real problem is the belief that happiness depends entirely on what you don't yet have. When your focus is always on what's missing, your mind automatically ignores what's already present. You begin to overlook your progress, your achievements, and even the simple moments that bring you peace. No matter how much you gain, it never feels like enough, because your mindset is trained to constantly look forward instead of appreciating the present. Over time, this way of thinking creates a feeling of emptiness. You might have more than you once did, but it doesn't feel the way you expected. That's because happiness was never in the achievement itself, it was in your ability to recognize and appreciate it. Without that awareness, even the biggest milestones can feel temporary. Real happiness begins with a shift in perspective. Instead of constantly asking, "What do I need next?" you begin asking, "What do I already have?" This simple shift changes how you experience your life. You start to notice things you once ignored, your growth, the challenges you've overcome, the people around you, and the small moments that bring comfort and peace. These are the parts of life that quietly create happiness, but they are often overlooked when your mind is always focused on what's missing. Gratitude plays a powerful role in this process. It brings your attention back to the present moment and helps you recognize value in what already exists. It doesn't mean you stop working toward your goals or become complacent. It means you learn to appreciate your life while you're still building it. This balance allows you to move forward without feeling empty along the way. When you stop chasing happiness as something distant and start recognizing it in what you already have, your entire experience of life begins to change. You still grow, you still improve, and you still aim higher, but you're no longer waiting for the future to finally feel fulfilled. You start feeling it now. Chapter 2: Control your thoughts. Your thoughts shape how you experience life more than anything else. The same situation can feel completely different depending on how you think about it. If your mind is constantly focused on problems, negativity, or self-doubt, it becomes very difficult to feel at peace. Even small challenges can start to feel overwhelming, not because they are truly that serious, but because your thinking amplifies them. Over time, this creates a mindset where stress, frustration, and overthinking become your default state. The challenge is that most people don't even realize how much their thoughts are affecting them. Negative thinking patterns often run automatically in the background. You might assume the worst in situations, replay past mistakes, or constantly criticize yourself without questioning it. These thoughts feel normal because you're used to them, but they quietly shape your emotions and how you respond to life. Learning to guide your thoughts is one of the most important steps toward real happiness. This doesn't mean forcing yourself to be positive all the time or ignoring reality. It means becoming aware of how you think and questioning whether those thoughts are actually helping you. When something happens, instead of immediately believing your first reaction, you begin to pause and ask yourself if there's another way to look at it. For example, instead of assuming something is going wrong, you might consider that you don't have all the information yet. Instead of being overly critical of yourself, you might recognize that mistakes are part of growth. These small shifts in thinking may not seem significant at first, but they have a powerful effect on how you feel. As you practice this, you create space between your thoughts and your emotions. You stop reacting automatically and start responding with more clarity. Situations that once triggered stress or frustration begin to feel more manageable, because you are no longer feeding them with negative thinking. Over time, this builds a more balanced and stable mindset. You don't eliminate negative thoughts completely, but you stop letting them control you. You become more aware, more intentional, and more in control of how you interpret what's happening around you. And when you begin to control your thoughts, you naturally begin to control how you feel, because your emotions are often a reflection of how you think. Chapter 3: Let go of what you can't control. One of the biggest sources of stress in life comes from trying to control things that were never in your control to begin with. This includes other people's actions, their opinions, unexpected situations, and outcomes that haven't even happened yet. The more you try to manage these things, the more frustrated and overwhelmed you become, because no matter how much effort you put in, they don't fully respond to your control. A lot of emotional tension builds from this habit. You might feel stressed because someone didn't act the way you expected, or anxious because things aren't going according to your plan. Your mind starts trying to fix, predict, or control every possible outcome, which only creates more pressure. Instead of feeling stable, you feel stuck in a constant cycle of worry and frustration. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring about your life or your goals. It doesn't mean you become passive or careless. It simply means you recognize the difference between what you can control and what you cannot. This awareness allows you to stop wasting energy on things that don't change, and instead direct that energy toward what actually matters. When you shift your focus to what you can control, your actions, your effort, your mindset, and your response, you start to feel a sense of stability. These are the areas where your energy has real impact. Instead of being overwhelmed by everything happening around you, you become grounded in what you can actually influence. This shift also reduces overthinking. When you stop trying to predict every outcome or control every detail, your mind becomes quieter. You spend less time worrying about what-if scenarios and more time focusing on what you can do right now. This creates a calmer and more focused state of mind. Over time, letting go becomes a form of strength. You become less reactive to situations you can't change and more confident in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Instead of feeling controlled by external circumstances, you feel in control of yourself. And that's where real peace starts, when you stop trying to control everything around you and start mastering what's within you. Chapter 4: Build meaning, not just pleasure. Pleasure is easy to access and instantly rewarding, which is why so many people rely on it as their main source of happiness. It can come from entertainment, comfort, distractions, or anything that gives you a quick sense of enjoyment. In the moment, it feels good and can even feel like happiness. But the problem is that pleasure is temporary. It fades quickly, and once it's gone, you're often left looking for the next thing to recreate that same feeling. This creates a cycle where you constantly chase short-term satisfaction without ever feeling truly fulfilled. The more you rely only on pleasure, the more empty it can start to feel over time. What once felt exciting becomes normal, and what once satisfied you no longer has the same effect. This leads to needing more stimulation just to feel the same level of enjoyment. Without realizing it, you can become dependent on constant distractions to avoid feeling bored, unmotivated, or unfulfilled. Meaning works differently. It's not always easy, and it doesn't always feel good in the moment, but it gives your life direction and depth. Meaning comes from growth, from working towards something that matters to you, and from challenging yourself in ways that help you improve. It's found in progress, in purpose, and in doing things that align with your values rather than just your immediate comfort. When you focus on meaning, you begin to build a sense of fulfillment that lasts longer than temporary pleasure. Even difficult moments start to feel valuable, because they are part of something bigger. You're no longer just trying to feel good in the moment, you're working toward a life that feels meaningful over time. This doesn't mean you should eliminate pleasure completely. Enjoyment and relaxation are still important. But when pleasure becomes your main focus, it can lead to emptiness. When meaning becomes your foundation, pleasure becomes something you enjoy without depending on it. Over time, building a life around meaning creates a deeper and more stable form of happiness. You feel more grounded, more focused, and more satisfied, not because everything is easy, but because what you're doing actually matters to you. Chapter 5: Protect your energy. Your environment has a powerful influence on how you think, feel, and experience your life. The people you spend time with, the conversations you engage in, and even the content you consume on a daily basis all shape your mindset in ways you may not immediately notice. Over time, these influences build up and begin to affect your mood, your perspective, and even your level of happiness. If you are constantly surrounded by negativity, whether it's complaining, criticism, or toxic behavior, it becomes much harder to maintain a positive and balanced mindset. Even if you try to stay focused, that kind of energy slowly drains you. You may start to feel more stressed, more reactive, or less motivated without fully understanding why. This is because your environment is feeding your mind with negative input on a regular basis. Protecting your energy means becoming more intentional about what you allow into your life. It's not just about avoiding negative people, but also about being aware of the overall atmosphere you place yourself in. This includes the media you consume, the conversations you entertain, and the habits you surround yourself with. Everything you expose yourself to either adds to your peace or takes away from it. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself or avoid reality. It means you set boundaries. You learn to limit your exposure to things that drain you and spend more time around what supports your growth and stability. You choose environments that encourage calmness, clarity, and positivity rather than stress and negativity. Another important part of protecting your energy is recognizing when something is affecting you more than it should. If certain people or situations consistently leave you feeling drained, frustrated, or unsettled, that's a sign that your energy is being impacted. Becoming aware of this allows you to make better choices about where you invest your time and attention. Over time, these choices begin to shape your overall state of mind. When your environment supports your peace, it becomes easier to stay balanced, focused, and emotionally stable. Instead of constantly trying to recover from negativity, you maintain a steady sense of calm and control. And when your energy is protected, happiness becomes something you can maintain, not something you constantly have to chase. Chapter 6: Be present. Happiness doesn't exist in the past or the future, it exists in the present moment. The problem is, most people are rarely fully present. Their minds are constantly pulled in different directions, either replaying things that already happened or worrying about what might happen next. This creates a mental state where you are physically in one place, but mentally somewhere else entirely. When you live like this, you miss the experience of your own life. Moments pass without being fully felt, conversations happen without real attention, and even achievements don't bring lasting satisfaction because your mind immediately moves on. Instead of experiencing life as it happens, you are always thinking about it from a distance. A lot of this comes from habit. The mind naturally drifts toward problems, responsibilities, or unfinished thoughts. It tries to predict the future or make sense of the past, often without realizing that it's taking you out of the present moment. Over time, this constant mental movement creates stress, because you're always focused on what's not happening right now. Being present means bringing your attention back to what is happening in front of you. It's about fully engaging with the moment, whether it's a conversation, a task, or even a quiet moment alone. When your attention is focused, your experience becomes deeper and more meaningful. You begin to notice details, feel more connected, and appreciate things you would normally overlook. This also has a calming effect on your mind. When you are present, you are not overthinking the past or worrying about the future. Your thoughts slow down, and your emotions become more stable. Even simple moments can feel more fulfilling, because you are actually experiencing them instead of rushing through them. Practicing presence doesn't require anything complicated. It can start with small actions, like paying full attention when someone is speaking, focusing on one task at a time, or simply noticing your surroundings. These moments of awareness help train your mind to stay grounded in the present. Over time, this becomes a habit. You stop living in constant distraction and start experiencing life more directly. And when you are fully present, you realize that many of the moments you were chasing in the future were already available to you all along. Chapter 7: Accept Imperfection. Life is not perfect, and it never will be. No matter how much you plan, improve, or try to control every detail, there will always be challenges, unexpected situations, and moments that don't go the way you imagined. The difficulty is that many people carry an unspoken expectation that life should feel smooth, predictable, and close to perfect. When reality doesn't match that expectation, it creates frustration, disappointment, and sometimes even self-doubt. Instead of accepting life as it is, they resist it, and that resistance is what creates unnecessary stress. Perfection itself is an illusion. It's a constantly moving target that can never truly be reached. Even when things seem to be going well, the mind finds something else that feels incomplete or not good enough. You might believe that once everything is in place, you'll finally feel satisfied, but that moment rarely lasts. There's always another goal, another standard, or another expectation waiting to replace the last one. This way of thinking keeps you stuck in a cycle where nothing ever feels fully enough, no matter how much progress you make. A large part of real happiness comes from letting go of this need for perfection. Accepting imperfection doesn't mean giving up on growth or lowering your standards. It means understanding that flaws, setbacks, and uncertainty are not signs that something is wrong, they are natural parts of life. When you stop expecting everything to be perfect, you stop fighting against reality. Instead, you begin to move with it, which creates a sense of ease and clarity. When something goes wrong, your perspective begins to shift. Instead of thinking that it shouldn't have happened, you start to see it as part of the process. Mistakes become lessons, and challenges become opportunities to grow rather than obstacles to avoid. This change reduces emotional pressure, because you're no longer trying to force life into a perfect shape. You begin to accept that progress often comes through difficulty, not in the absence of it. This mindset also changes how you see yourself. Many people are extremely hard on themselves, expecting constant success without mistakes. When they fall short, they feel frustrated or discouraged, as if failure means something is wrong with them. But when you accept that imperfection is part of being human, you create space for growth without constant self-judgment. You allow yourself to learn, improve, and move forward without being weighed down by unrealistic expectations. Over time, this acceptance creates a deeper sense of calm. You stop trying to control every outcome or make everything ideal, and instead focus on adapting and moving forward. You become more flexible, more patient, and more grounded. Life doesn't feel like something you have to constantly fix, it becomes something you experience and grow through. As this mindset develops, you begin to feel a more stable form of happiness. You are no longer dependent on everything going perfectly to feel okay. You can find peace even in imperfect moments, because you understand that perfection was never required for happiness in the first place. Chapter 8: Stop comparing your life to others. One of the fastest ways to lose your happiness is by constantly comparing your life to other people's lives. It's easy to look at others and feel like they're doing better, achieving more, or living a life that seems more exciting or complete. With constant exposure to other people's highlights, it can start to feel like everyone else is ahead while you're falling behind. But what you're seeing is only a small, curated part of their reality, not the full picture. Every person has struggles, doubts, and challenges that are not always visible, no matter how perfect things may appear on the surface. Comparison creates a mindset where nothing ever feels enough. No matter how much progress you make, your mind shifts the focus to someone who has more, has done more, or appears to be further ahead. This creates an endless cycle, because there will always be someone ahead in some way. If your happiness depends on being better than others or keeping up with them, you will constantly feel like you're lacking something. Instead of feeling fulfilled by your own progress, you feel pressure, dissatisfaction, and a sense that you're not where you should be. Over time, this way of thinking disconnects you from your own journey. Instead of recognizing how far you've come, you begin focusing on how far you think you still have to go compared to someone else. This can lead to frustration, self-doubt, and a lack of appreciation for your own efforts. Even your achievements can start to feel small, not because they are, but because you're measuring them against someone else's path instead of your own. Real happiness begins when you shift your focus back to yourself. Your life is your own path, with its own timing, challenges, and direction. Not everything is meant to happen at the same pace for everyone. When you stop comparing, you give yourself the space to appreciate your growth, your progress, and your experiences without constantly questioning them. You begin to measure success based on who you were before, not who someone else is today. This shift creates a sense of stability and confidence. Instead of constantly looking outward for validation or comparison, you begin to focus inward, on your goals, your improvement, and what truly matters to you. You become more grounded in your own life, and less affected by what others are doing. This allows you to move forward with more clarity and less pressure. Over time, letting go of comparison builds a stronger sense of self. Your happiness becomes more independent, because it's no longer tied to external standards that are always changing. You stop chasing someone else's version of success and start defining your own. And when you reach that point, you're no longer trying to keep up, you're finally moving at your own pace, in your own direction, with a deeper sense of fulfillment. Well, your happiness doesn't depend on perfection, money, or what others are doing. It isn't something you find in someone else's life or achieve by meeting external standards. True happiness starts from within. It begins with your mindset, the way you interpret life, and the choices you make every single day. It's about how you respond to challenges, how you focus on what you can control, and how present you are in each moment instead of chasing a distant future.